Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and today we're taking a look at a game that just came out yesterday evening on Steam called Necromunda Underhive Wars. I hope I pronounced that right. This is a video game inspired by the tabletop game from Warhammer 40k. Now, I personally don't know much about Warhammer 40k because I've never been into a lot of tabletop RPGs before, but what I do have is a lot of experience in video games. And I'd also say that most people tend to agree with my initial assessment of some of these video games I take a look at. By the way, sorry if I'm a bit quiet. Wife is sleeping literally right next to me, so I'm doing my best to have a calm, collective voice while also trying to be loud enough for you guys to understand me. Now, before we go any further, and I get some angry people yelling at me in the comments below, let me say this. Everything I say is fair, and from a newcomer's perspective. It also comes from someone who is busy whenever I'm not playing video games and don't have all day to just sit around and play one, okay? Great. Also, just a quick little advert here. I would very much appreciate it if you wonderful viewers out there would hit that like button and leave me a nice comment. And if you happen to enjoy the video, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell. Okay? Great. Also, please try and stay till the end of the video. Don't judge me unless you've heard it all. Alright, now let's get into this. So honestly, I don't really know much about the story. I only played about an hour into this game. This is not a full review. This is what I call a first impressions review. It means I play for longer than 20 minutes, but not longer than 2 hours. So no, I won't know everything. No, I won't have any in-depth knowledge about this and blah blah blah. Basically, what I'm trying to do is just help people save money and invest it in games that'll be better for them. Sometimes people agree, and sometimes people disagree. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, including me, so please just chill and consider the opposing sides. The reason why I do it this way is because if the game is absolute garbage, I don't want to waste my money. I can't afford to waste my money. And a lot of other people out there do the exact same thing. They play up until the 2-hour mark, and if they don't like it, they get a refund. So, whatever. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't really know much about this game's story. From what I gathered, you're in a gang of women who have discovered something rare and interesting and are now fighting off other gangs to get to that rare something. But who cares? Story doesn't really matter for this. Or does it? That's the age-old question, isn't it? But man, thinking about this, I'm not really sure how to go about this. Let's just go with my usual and give you a list of pros and cons followed by my own initial opinion at the end in the conclusion. So first off is the positives. Number one, the graphics are pretty damn decent. They aren't the best I've seen in more recent titles, but they're definitely passable for this type of game. The lighting is great, the coloring is great, and the artwork is great. So is the different customizations of characters and their own unique little decorations. Number two, the voice acting. I actually really enjoyed it. The other sound effects in the game sounded pretty standard, so I'm not going to put those in the positive or negative, but you know, I really did like the voice acting. Number three, the customizations themselves. From different classes, different weapons, different skills, different items, and the ability to change and customize the members of your gang, it's all very in-depth and varied, making it pretty interesting. Number four, this one could be considered a positive or a negative, which is why I left it for last. This is up for you viewers to decide, honestly. The game is very tactical, and not in like an XCOM way. Large, complicated maps with lots of different things to fiddle around with in each map. The ability to ambush, set traps, demolish, sabotage, and even more are bound in this tactical shooter, so, you know, pick your poison. But now we have to go on to the negatives of this game. Number one, to me, the game is boring. It is super boring. I mean, that's my opinion. I was just bored the whole frickin' time I was playing it. How is it boring? Well, it's because it's so damn slow. Everything takes time. Reloading your gun takes time. The enemy's turn takes several minutes per character they are using. Whenever you use a skill, it takes time. Whenever you shoot, it takes time. Just starting your turn takes time. So for example, it's the next round. It tells you that it's your turn. It asks you which character you wish to control. Time passes. Then you watch the AI character stumble around for about a minute. Now the game takes time to tell you it's your turn. You have to wait for it to adjust to your character that you picked 3 minutes ago. Then, it's your turn to go. Now you can move and do stuff. All in all, it takes like 3 to 5 minutes in between each time you get to control one of your characters. No, there's no time skip or a way to fast forward the AI that you have to watch. You just have to watch it all happen. I could be watching a movie in between the turns of my characters. The whole first hour of gameplay was on a 15-minute tutorial followed by a 45-minute long mission, which only took that long because the game took its time doing absolutely everything. And in those 45 minutes, technically, I didn't even complete the mission. It just took me 45 minutes to find and kill all the enemies. It was going to take me then another 10 minutes just to get my guys to the exit. And as I was getting there, enemy reinforcements popped up, which was going to add even more time, and I was just I was not down with that at all. Number 2, the guns are lame. There's no kick to them, you know? Like, you know how when you're playing a game like Mass Effect or Call of Duty or Apex Legends and you can feel the guns kick as if you're holding it yourself? Yeah, that's not here. Also, the guns are so boring that I just don't care about them in the slightest. I mean, my sniper character, heavy gunner, and dual pistol wielder all use the exact same laser shot animation and sound effect, even though they're all using completely different weapons. The only variations here are you using lasers, bullets, or melee, which is boring and lacks creativity. Number 3, the game isn't very smooth. I know it just released, so this isn't really that big of a deal, but, you know, I did have some glitching, so I figured I should at least mention it in that first hour. Clipping, screen tearing, freezing, etc. I mean, not a lot, mind you. It mostly worked fine. I'd say it was 90% fine, 10% glitches, but, you know, I did have about one of each of those glitches in that single hour. Number 4, the enemy AI is really freaking dumb. I watched a sniper enemy move 2 feet to the right and kneel on the opposite side of barrels of where she needed to be. My character was literally standing 5 feet from her. She knelt on the other side of cover where she was in full range of my person. And obviously I destroyed her. On the second match, I watched a dumb grunt grenade himself, even though he was nowhere near my units. Then I watched him run in a circle and kneel before he ended his turn. Then, on his next turn, he decided to move up to a level, where he was where my guys are, threw another grenade which hit one of my allies, and himself, and then he moved to a bunch of barrels, turned his back on my 2 characters, standing just 3 feet away, and he knelt, once again on the wrong side of cover. Then he ended his turn. This is a real thing that frickin' happened in this frickin' game. Obviously he died as well. Number 5, the maps are just too complicated and too large for a turn-based game like this. I could possibly see the appeal if you and 3 of your best friends were playing with just you 4 and controlling each of your own characters while talking and strategizing and blah blah blah. But in a game like this, when you're playing single player, where you have to wait 4 to 5 minutes between moving each of your characters and then having a map that large with the inability to move freely, the idea is just ridiculous to me. It's overwhelming. I mean, first off, you're going to spend the first 5 minutes just trying to figure out where your characters are in response to each other and the enemy. Then you have to figure out how to find the enemy in this large, confusing map. Then you have to traverse this large, confusing map just to get to the enemy. Then, when you get to the enemy, they run somewhere super far away in this large, complicated map, and you have to repeat the process all over again. Not only that, but because this is so poorly designed, after you killed all the bad guys, you still have to wait 3 frickin' minutes, more or less, each time you switch to a new character, just to move them towards the exit. So even after you defeat all the enemies, you're going to spend about 15 minutes just trying to move your team to the frickin' exit. And since you're moving so slow, the AI decides it needs to send reinforcements to try to kill you, which will slow you down even further and lengthen the amount of time you're in this combat match, because now, and it's all going to take more time because now you have to watch all of them move along with yours. So, that's it for all the negatives. I mean, this isn't going to be a super long video today. Let me just get on with the conclusion here. I mean, basically, this game is definitely not for me. Don't get me wrong, I can definitely understand the appeal it may have for a certain group of gamers out there. But for me, the super slow pacing of the game is a huge turnoff. And even if I could drum up the patience for it, the lack of different types of guns and how they feel is another big thing for me. Plus, the AI is super dumb and needs to be updated ASAP because it was pathetically easy for me to beat them, even though I barely knew how to play the game. The best way to sum up this game is, it's an XCOM game, but from a third perspective. I mean, pretty much right down to almost every little detail. It's like XCOM, but with a lot more information added. That's why it's a bit confusing. And in my personal opinion, it was a horrible decision. I mean, this could have been a pretty damn good game if it was top-down like XCOM. But being in the third person like this, even though it has its charms during combat, involving everything else, it's just a horrible decision. It's hard to get your bearings, it's hard to navigate, it's hard to keep track of where you are, or where you've been, or where the enemies are, or where they're moving to. So along with the game being a bit too complicated and designed in a non-intuitive way, the fact that it's so slow and lacks the different gun animations for different types of weapons is just boring me, and I quickly lost interest in this game. I mean, if you can't differentiate a sniper laser gun from a heavy laser gun, or dual pistols for that matter, then why the heck should I even care? You couldn't even have at least made the guns, shoot different colored lasers? Or have a different, diameter? I mean, Come on, you'd think that a heavy weapon, laser or not, would be shooting big bullets or big lasers, not the same size you'd see from a sniper rifle or a pint-sized pistol. But that's what we have here. So, no, I do not recommend this game. At least not as it currently is. Maybe the devs can release a big update that'll change the colors of lasers, give them a different feel, speed up the process, and just make it a little bit easier to navigate. But unless they have a huge update like that, I can't ever recommend this game. I mean, it's not a terrible game, don't get me wrong. It does have its major flaws, and it might just be not for me. But I mean, if I had to rate it, which I don't because this isn't a full-length review, but if I had to, then as of right now, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It's average. It's only for a certain type of people out there. And it's very slow, counterintuitive, and very uncreative in terms of weapons. So if you're seeing this game, if you're seeing this gameplay and you like what you see and you don't really mind the negatives that I spoke of, and you're just kind of looking for a tactical game that you can really sink some time into, you're probably really going to enjoy this game, and I encourage you to play this game and to support it and enjoy it. But if any of those things that I mentioned concern you even a little bit, trust me, it is way worse when you're actually playing it, so you should probably stay clear of this one. Sorry guys, but the only thing that makes this game worth its price tag is the graphics, and to me that simply isn't enough. I mean, I hope I didn't piss off too many people with this, but this is all just my personal opinion. I have finished my move. I am settled in. I'm going to start trying to put out more content for you guys. I'm sorry it took so long, but it's been very stressful for me and my family moving from one place to another, so I am very sorry for the fact I haven't really been putting anything out lately, but I'm going to try to correct that now. So thank you everyone for watching, my old fans who are tuning in, and for the new fans who decided to check me out. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this, or at least found it informative, and I hope to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.